In the quiet cobblestone streets of Europe this past summer, something extraordinary may have happened. Something that would change the life of Hollywood's most beloved enigma forever. Picture this moment. Keanu Reeves, the man who spent decades guarding his privacy like a fortress, reportedly said, "I do" in secret. No paparazzi. No red carpet. Just love, whispered promises. And a ceremony so intimate that the world is only hearing about it now. The rumors started swirling just days ago. Keanu Reeves and his girlfriend, Alexandra Grant, reportedly had a secret wedding ceremony during a trip to Europe this summer. If true, this would mark the end of one of Hollywood's longest bachelor runs, and perhaps the beginning of the happiest chapter in a life marked by both triumph and unspeakable tragedy. But to understand why this moment matters so much, we need to go back to the beginning. To a story that started with heartbreak and somehow found its way to hope. Keanu Charles Reeves entered this world on September 2, 1964, in Beirut, Lebanon. His father, Samuel, was a geologist from Hawaii. His mother, Patricia, a showgirl and costume designer from England. But this wasn't a fairy tale beginning. When Keanu was just 3 years old, his father walked out. Gone. Just like that, Patricia packed up their lives and moved to Toronto with young Keanu and his sister, Kim. Picture a single mother, struggling to make ends meet, working multiple jobs while her son watched from the sidelines. Money was tight. Stability was a luxury they couldn't afford. "I had a lot of friends who were girls," Keanu once reflected about his childhood. "I was more comfortable with them than with guys." Maybe it was growing up in a house full of women. Maybe it was the gentleness that tragedy teaches you early. Either way, it shaped the man he'd become. High school wasn't easy either. Keanu bounced between 4 different schools. He wasn't the academic type. Reading was a struggle. What they now know as dyslexia was just called slow back then. But there was one place where everything clicked perfectly. The stage at just 15, Keanu landed his first acting role in a local theater production. Standing under those bright lights, becoming someone else entirely, it was like coming home. For the first time in his young life, the kid who struggled with words found his voice. "I was quiet, but I wasn't shy," he'd later explain. On stage, he could be anyone. A prince. A rebel. A hero. Anyone except the boy whose father never came back. The early days in Hollywood were brutal. Rejection after rejection. Auditions that went nowhere. Keanu was sleeping on friends' couches, washing dishes to pay rent, wondering if he'd made the biggest mistake of his life by chasing this impossible dream. But then 1989 happened. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, whoa, became the catchphrase that launched 1,000 careers. Suddenly, everyone knew Keanu Reeves as Ted Theodore Logan, the sweet, dim-witted time traveler with a heart of gold. It wasn't Shakespeare, but it was something. It was a start. What most people didn't realize was how much of Ted was actually Keanu, the kindness, the wide-eyed wonder, the way he treated everyone on set with genuine respect, from the director to the craft services table. Be excellent to each other wasn't just a movie line for him. It was a philosophy. The 90s brought a string of films that showed the world Keanu's range. Point Break turned him into an action star. My Own Private Idaho proved he could handle serious drama. And then came the role that would change everything, Neo. The Matrix wasn't just a movie. It was a cultural phenomenon. Suddenly, Keanu wasn't just an actor. He was a global icon. The leather coat, the sunglasses, the moves. "I Know Kung Fu" became as iconic as any line in cinema history. But here's what the world didn't see. While Keanu was becoming one of the biggest stars on the planet, his personal life was falling apart. In the late 90s, Keanu began dating Jennifer Syme, an actress and David Lynch's assistant. They fell in love hard and fast. The kind of love that makes you believe in forever. In 1999, Jennifer became pregnant. They were going to have a daughter, Ava. They picked out names, painted nurseries, dreamed of their future together. On December 24, 1999, Ava was born, stillborn. Imagine that phone call. Imagine that hospital room. Imagine having to bury the child you never got to hold on Christmas Eve while the whole world was celebrating. The grief destroyed them, not just the loss. But the way loss can turn love into a mirror of pain. Keanu and Jennifer broke up in early 2000. They couldn't look at each other without seeing what they'd lost. But they stayed friends. They stayed connected. They tried to heal together, even when apart. On April 2, 2001, Jennifer was driving home from a party. Her car swerved off the road and crashed into 3 parked cars. She was killed instantly. The coroner found antidepressants in her system. The woman Keanu loved, the mother of his unborn child, was gone. Keanu didn't speak publicly for months after Jennifer's death. When he finally did, his words were simple and devastating. Grief changes shape. A T maybe never ends. This is when the Keanu Reeves the world knows today was truly born. The man who gives up his subway seat without thinking. Who takes pay cuts so his stunt teams can get bonuses. Who bought every member of the Matrix crew a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Loss had taught him something profound. That kindness isn't just nice, it's necessary. That every moment with the people you care about is precious. That fame and fortune mean nothing if you're carrying grief alone. For years, Keanu seemed destined to walk through life solo. Not by choice, necessarily, but by circumstance. By the weight of what he'd experienced. By the way, tragedy can make you afraid to love again. He dated occasionally. There were rumors and brief relationships, but nothing stuck. Nothing that looked like forever. Until, in 2009, at a dinner party in Los Angeles. Keanu met an artist named Alexandra Grant. Keanu Reeves and Alexandra Grant met in 2009 at a dinner party and bonded over their shared interest in art and literature. She was different from anyone he'd been linked to before. Older, accomplished in her own right, gray-haired and proud of it. Intellectual, deep. Alexandra wasn't interested in Keanu Reeves, the movie star. She was interested in Keanu, the person. The poet, the thinker. The man who wrote small books of verse and wondered about the meaning of things, just 2 years after they met. Reeves and Grant published a book together titled Ode to Happiness, which Reeves wrote and Grant illustrated. It was the beginning of something beautiful. Not romance, not yet, but partnership. Understanding, the kind of connection that grows slowly. Like a tree putting down roots, they founded a publishing company together. Ex-artists' books. They collaborated on projects. They became friends in the deepest sense of the word. People who genuinely enjoyed each other's minds. For nearly a decade. That's what they were. Friends, collaborators too. Artists who understood each other in an industry that doesn't often allow for genuine connection. But love has its own timeline. In November 2019, the world finally got its answer. Keanu turned heads when he stepped out with the artist hand in hand on the carpet for the LACMA Art Plus Film Gala in November 2019. After 10 years of friendship, Keanu and Alexandra had quietly become something more. The photos from that night tell the story. Keanu's hand on Alexandra's back. Her smile as she looks at him. The easy comfort between them. This wasn't a Hollywood publicity romance. This was to people who'd found each other after years of being exactly what the other needed. The Matrix had asked us to question reality. But this was real in every way that mattered. What makes their love story so compelling isn't just that Keanu found love again. It's how he found it. Slowly, carefully, with a woman who saw him for who he truly was, not who the world wanted him to be. Alexandra Grant isn't 25 and blonde. She's accomplished, intelligent, and appropriate. She's an artist whose work has been shown in galleries around the world. She's a woman who chose to go gray naturally in a town obsessed with youth. She's not real. In interviews, you can see how she grounds him, how she makes him laugh, how after decades of being Hollywood's most eligible bachelor, Keanu finally looks like a man who's come home. They kept their relationship remarkably private. No Instagram announcements. No magazine covers. Just to people building something authentic away from the spotlight that had been both blessing and curse in Keanu's life and now. If these reports are true, they've taken the final step. Sources claim that Keanu Reeves and Alexandra Grant had a secret wedding ceremony during a trip to Europe this summer. Picture it. Maybe it was in a small chapel in Tuscany. Maybe on the coast of Greece. Maybe in a garden in Provence, surrounded by just their closest family and friends. No cameras. No media circus. No entertainment news crews camped outside. Just Keanu, at 60 years old, finally saying the words he thought he might never say again. I do. The man who lost his daughter before she took her first breath. Who buried the love of his life. Who spent decades wondering if happiness was something that happened to other people, finally allowing himself to believe in forever again. If true, this marriage represents more than just a celebrity wedding. It's a victory over grief. A testament to the idea that it's never too late for love. That sometimes the most beautiful chapters of our lives are the ones we never saw coming. Keanu has always been Hollywood's most reluctant star. The man who takes the bus, who carries his own luggage, who treats every fan like they matter. In a town built on pretense, he's remained stubbornly, beautifully authentic. And if he's really married to Alexandra Grant, if they really did slip away to Europe and promise each other forever, then maybe there's hope for all of us. Maybe the best love stories aren't the ones that happen fast and burn bright. Maybe they're the ones that grow slowly, quietly, between two people who've learned that love isn't about completion. It's about companionship. The boy who grew up without a father became the man who shows us what masculinity can look like when it's grounded in kindness. The actor who could have chosen any leading lady in Hollywood chose a gray-haired artist who makes him laugh. The man who lost everything learned to love again, whether they're married or not. Keanu and Alexandra have given us something precious, proof that real love exists, that it doesn't always look like what we expect, that sometimes the most beautiful endings come after the hardest beginnings. As Keanu once said, grief changes shape, but it never ends. But maybe love works the same way. Maybe it changes shape, evolves, grows deeper with time. And maybe, just maybe, it never ends either. In a world that often feels dark and uncertain, Keanu Reeves remains a beacon of what's possible. Kindness in cruelty. Hope after heartbreak. Love after loss. And now, perhaps, happiness after a lifetime of waiting. Whether he's secretly married or not, one thing is certain. Keanu Reeves has won at the only game that really matters. He's learned how to be human in a world that often forgets what that means. And those wedding bells really did ring somewhere in Europe this summer? ... Well, couldn't happen to a better guy. What do you think about these marriage rumors? Do you believe Keanu and Alexandra took that next step? Or are we all just hoping for the fairy tale ending this beautiful man deserves? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories about the people who make us believe in love, hope, and second chances.